Have you ever wondered what happened after that single explosion that would forever change a soldier's life? The merciless face of war sometimes takes away not only life, but also love. In this story, you will learn that the greatest pain a young soldier experienced after losing his eyes was not actually blindness. If you have similar stories, you can send your experiences to our email address provided in the description.
I am Michael Thompson. I am 21 years old, and my story begins in one of the bloodiest battles of the United States Pacific Theater, the Battle of Okinawa. In April 1945, in those days when even the spring winds could not make one forget the brutality of war, I was still a young infantryman with only my dreams in my eyes. On the first day I set foot on Okinawa, I had thought about how the tropical beauty of the island contrasted with the horror of war. Palm trees swayed amid the sounds of bombardment. White sandy beaches were mixed with the smell of blood and gunpowder. I was a typical American young man at that time, 6 feet tall, with brown hair and blue eyes. I had come from our small town Springfield in Illinois and was planning to marry Elizabeth. Our family ran a grocery store, and after the war, I would work alongside my father. We had even chosen the fabric for Elizabeth's wedding dress. It would be cream-colored lace. Everything was planned. Elizabeth? I still feel her name in my mouth. That beautiful girl whose blonde hair resembled sunlight, whose green eyes were as vibrant as spring meadows. I can still feel the last kiss she gave me when she saw me off to war on my lips. "I'm waiting for you, Michael," she had said that day. I remember the trembling of her voice, the tears in her eyes, how her hands didn't want to let me go. On that cursed day in Okinawa, June 21st, 1945, while the sun burned overhead with its scorching heat, my squad and I were advancing to capture the hill called Sugarloaf Hill. Japanese forces were positioned on that hill with heavy weapons, waiting for us. Around me were my friends Tommy from Boston, Jake from Texas, Chris from California. We were all experiencing the same fear, but nobody was saying it. That morning, I had written a letter to Elizabeth. "My darling, when this war is over, I will take you to my home. You will taste my mother's famous apple pie," I had written. I put the letter in my pocket and inhaled her scent once more. Elizabeth's lavender perfume. That scent always took me home, to peace, to safety. When the attack order came, my heart felt like it would burst from my chest. We got out of the trench and started advancing. Bullets were whizzing around me. Bombs were exploding. My friends were falling one by one. I had heard Tommy's scream, Chris calling my name. But I was advancing, thinking of Elizabeth's face. Then that moment came. I heard a whizzing sound in the air. The mortar shell exploded right next to me. The world suddenly became silent. Then I felt terrible pain, a burning sensation on my face and my eyes. Then nothing. Darkness. Endless, never-ending darkness. When I came to, I was in a military hospital in Hawaii. My head was wrapped in bandages, and I was trying to open my eyes, but couldn't see anything. I started screaming in panic. "My eyes! Where are my eyes?" The nurse came running. Mrs. Patricia Williams, a woman in her 50s with a compassionate voice. She held my hand and spoke softly. "Calm down, son. The doctor will come and explain everything." My first conversation with Dr. Thompson was the darkest moment of my life. He was a 40-year-old man, serious but compassionate. He told me that shrapnel pieces had hit my eyes, my optic nerves were damaged, and I would never see again. When I heard those words, it was as if I had died for the second time. Will I never see Elizabeth's face again? I asked. My voice was broken, hopeless. The doctor remained silent. This silence was already giving me my answer. Days passed, weeks passed. I received physical therapy, learned to walk with a cane. Nurse Patricia started teaching me the Braille alphabet. I was trying to feel the letters with my fingers, but with every touch, I remembered Elizabeth's hands. How her delicate fingers danced with mine, how she stroked my hair. There were other soldiers in the same condition as me in the hospital. There was a boy named Jimmy. He came from Arkansas. He was 19 years old and had lost both his legs. I could hear him crying at night. Frank was a 22-year-old soldier from Detroit. Half of his face was burned, he had difficulty speaking. The three of us had formed our own little brotherhood in the hospital. Jimmy's mother sent letters from Detroit every week. Frank's fiancée Barbara regularly came to visit. The burn scars on his face didn't seem to bother her at all. Love is like that, Michael, Frank would tell me. True love is not just about appearance, his words stuck in my heart. But my real pain was not in my eyes. My real pain was Elizabeth. I didn't know what to tell her. How could a blind man spend his life with her? How could a young, beautiful, vivacious girl be happy with me? At night, lying in bed, I would try to visualize her face. That green sparkle in her eyes, the dimples that appeared when she smiled, how her hair shone like gold in the sun. I wrote my first letter during my 3rd week in the hospital. Actually, I didn't write it. I dictated it. Nurse Patricia wrote it for me. "Dear Elizabeth," I began. Then I stopped. What could I say? I love you, but I can't see you anymore. If you marry me, you'll be living with a blind man. Finally, I just wrote I was wounded. Wait for me to heal. I couldn't tell the truth. I wasn't ready yet. Elizabeth's response came 2 weeks later. Patricia read it to me. "My darling Michael, I was so saddened to hear that you were wounded. Don't worry, no matter what happens, I'm waiting for you. My love is stronger than yours. Everyone in town is talking about your heroism. Mrs. Henderson's son, Bobby, was also wounded in Normandy, but he returned home. You will return too, and I will be here." When I heard these words, tears started flowing. I realized I was crying because tears were streaming down my cheeks. After that letter, I started telling her about our life in Springfield. "When we get married, we'll buy that little white house on Main Street," I had written. "It has rose trees in the garden. You love them very much. On Sundays, we'll go to church. Pastor Williams always praises us. In the evenings, we'll sit on the porch and watch the stars." Of course, I now knew I wouldn't be able to watch the stars, but I wasn't telling Elizabeth about that yet. In my 4th month at the hospital, the doctor prepared me for discharge. I would return to Springfield, but first I had to tell Elizabeth the truth. I couldn't postpone it any longer. Jimmy was trying to give me courage. "Michael, if she really loves you, this won't matter to her." Frank was more realistic. "Some people can't cope with such situations, buddy. That doesn't make them bad. It just makes them human." But then I had to tell the truth. In my 3rd letter, I told her everything. I wrote that I had lost my eyes, that I would never see again, that I couldn't look at her beautiful face. "If you want to leave, I won't blame you," I ended the letter. This time, Elizabeth's response came very late. I waited a full month. Every day I asked Patricia, "Is there mail?" Every day the same answer. "No, son, not yet." During this time, Jimmy was discharged and returned to his family in Arkansas. Frank also went to Detroit with Barbara. I was left alone with my worries. Finally, one November morning, Patricia entered my room and said she had a letter. But her tone was different. This time, Elizabeth's voice was different. When Patricia started reading, I noticed her voice trembling. "Dear Michael, it's very difficult to write this letter. I love you very much, but I don't feel ready. I'm not ready for such a life. I'm still very young and I'm scared. Forgive me, maybe time will change everything, but I can't do it right now." The continuation of the letter contained even more painful details. Elizabeth was confessing that she had started seeing Robert Miller in town. She wrote that Robert supported her, that he was by her side during difficult days. "He can look at me, Michael. He can see me," she wrote. This sentence extinguished the last light in my heart. I felt as if I had had a heart attack. I couldn't breathe. Elizabeth was leaving me. Losing my eyes was nothing compared to this pain. The woman I loved was abandoning me because I could no longer look at her. The next month, Patricia gave me other news. She said Elizabeth had gotten engaged to banker Robert Miller in town. Robert. I knew him. He hadn't gone to war, he had heart problems. He had stayed home and started a business. Now Elizabeth was with him. I didn't sleep that night. Lying in my dark room, I imagined Elizabeth's wedding. Her white wedding dress, her happy smile, walking on someone else's arm. I wouldn't be able to see all of this, but I could visualize it in my mind. This was perhaps more painful than being able to see. Months passed. I returned to the United States. I started living with my mother and father in our home in Springfield. My mother cried every day. My father didn't speak. He was also a World War I veteran and perhaps understood my pain. But he didn't say anything. Life in town continued as before. When people saw me, they would bow their heads and address me as hero, but I never felt like a hero. I just felt blind and alone. In the spring of 1946, while walking in town, I heard their voices. Elizabeth and Robert were talking. I recognized Elizabeth's voice immediately. My heart started beating rapidly. I didn't approach them, I just listened. She seemed happy. Robert was telling her they would make picnic plans. Elizabeth was laughing. That laugh. She never laughed for me anymore. Michael, is that you? I heard Elizabeth's voice. She had stopped and called out to me. My heart felt like it would stop. Yes, it's me, I said. My voice was trembling. How are you? She asked. Her voice was distant, not like before. I'm fine, I said, lying. There was a brief silence. I got engaged to Robert, she said. I had heard the words, but hearing them again was still painful. Congratulations, I said. What else could I say? When I returned home that day, I understood that I had truly lost Elizabeth. I had lost not only my eyes, but also the meaning of my life. The darkness was not only in my eyes anymore, it was also in my heart. Now I am 26 years old. 5 years have passed since that cursed day. Elizabeth has had 2 children and lives a happy life with Robert. I am still alone in the same house with my mother and father. I still think about the day I lost my eyes. But what hurts the most is no longer blindness. What hurts the most is that when I hear the voice of the woman I love, my heart still beats, but she now belongs to someone else. Sometimes I wake up at night and think I smell Elizabeth's perfume. Lavender scent. But this is just imagination. In my dreams, I see her. She smiles at me. When I wake up, darkness surrounds me again. This darkness is not only in my eyes, it has also spread to my soul. This wound is deeper and more painful than the bullet I was shot with in the war.
Michael's story shows how war shatters not only bodies, but also hearts. Sometimes the deepest wounds are invisible to the eye. The real pain of war perhaps lies in losing our loved ones. How did this story make you feel? Do you have similar experiences? We await your comments.